righty. All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall on this chilly Thanksgiving morning. Yesterday it was about 30 degrees warmer. I know there was a cold front coming through, and makes for pretty decent weather for a holiday like this. It's supposed to be cold anyway. At least we can try to resemble some other places that's out there that's really cold. But Meridians, it's kind of cool right now for us. We can deal with it. So I'll say that happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Wanted to get into a few things today. Had a little time to kill, so I figured I'd cover a few bases. The big story lately, to me anyway, is the Browns owner, Jimmy Haslem. They reported a couple of days ago that he's considering cleaning house. And by cleaning house, that usually means the head coach and the GM. And then with that, you bring in a new coach and a GM, and they're going to continue to clean out players until they get the desired roster that they want. And it's pretty interesting that all this comes about after Shedeur Sanders had to start. And what's interesting about all this, I told you this was going to happen months ago. When they drafted Sanders, it was clear that the owner and the coach, they didn't want to have nothing to do with Sanders. But the owner, he pretty much gave the impression that it was his decision. Well, he came out later and said that he didn't have anything to do with the decision. He didn't want Sanders. So if the damn owner say he don't want Sanders, you know the coach didn't want Sanders, even though it looked like he was forced to pick Sanders. So I came up with the beautiful idea that that log room that they had in the Browns locker room when you had 4 quarterbacks, I said somebody was going to get traded, which was Kenny Pickett. He ended up getting traded. And after Pickett got traded, I was trying to figure out what was going to happen next. But I figured that Flacco would have been the one to get traded first. But I didn't expect him to get traded the second time. I thought he was going to hang around at least to the end of the year, or at least until another person was ready to play. Well, when Joe Burrow got hurt, they needed a quarterback, so they made an individual trade with the Bengals. So now you got 2 quarterbacks left, the 2 rookies. The 2 controversial rookies, according to some. Gabriel, who by being drafted 3rd, probably had the right to start over Sanders because he was a high draft pick. The owner had more at stake with Gabriel, so we need to see if this guy's worthy of playing. No problem there, right? Well, I told you that Gabriel was going to come out and going to look pretty decent, and he was going to struggle. Gabriel came out looking pretty decent that first game, then he struggled. Now he's got a concussion. During the time that he was playing, and everybody talking about, why don't they play Shedeur? Well, I said that his time is going to come. He has to sit there, and he has to train, and he has to prepare as if he's going to play and be ready when his time has come. Meanwhile, people complain. He's not playing, he's not playing, he's not playing. Okay, Gabriel gets a concussion. Then I said, months ago, that once he got his chance, he's going to do the same thing Gabriel did. He's going to come in, he's going to have and then he's going to start looking like a rookie. I told you that Deshaun Watson, he's going to get activated, and he's going to play at least 1 or 2 games for the Browns this year. That is my prognosis. They're going to try to hold him back a little bit because it puts the coach in a position to be shown up by their decision making. If Sanders was to go out there and play good football, now the owner's looking at the coach. Maybe he don't think he has the right coach now because you got these players in camp. You see who can do what, but yet you still wouldn't give this guy a shot. Not only did you give him a shot, you wouldn't give him any reps. Now I understand as you're down the 2nd, 3rd quarterback, you don't get a whole lot of reps. You might get 2 or 3 the whole damn week. But if you've been elevated to the backup quarterback, you got to get some reps with the first team. Stefanski admitted he wasn't getting Sanders with the first team. So that is a coaching mistake there. Now, if Sanders was to go out and play well, I said that it puts the spotlight on the coaches because now the owner may have to question whether or not he can trust the decisions that his coaches are making. Because you had these players in camp, you know who can do what. And despite all how you feel about anybody, the whole job of the team is to win games, not to try to prove a damn point. Well, Sanders went out and played well enough to make the owner start to look and question the same way I told you was going to happen before. And because of that, now reports are coming out of Cleveland that the owner wants to clean house. Look, man, I've been watching this stuff for over 40 years. If you're paying attention and you understand how things operate, and you can understand clearly what is taking place. And I saw all of this coming. The only thing that hasn't shown up yet is the struggling that's to come of Sanders and the activation of Deshaun Watson at the end of the season. Now, Sanders played well. Now, you can say a lot of things about that. That was against the Raiders. But he's got the 49ers who are a better defense. If he goes out and he carves up the 49ers, now you got a quarterback that you got to keep around. It's much the same as what happened in New York with Jackson Dart. He was coming on all alone. They tried to hold him back. But when the team started to struggle, you might as well throw him on out there. And then when you put him out there, he did it like he did in the preseason. He showed promise and flash. And then you say, well, he's playing against the Broncos. They're going to shut him down. Well, he played pretty well against the Broncos. So now you know you got a quarterback. So Sanders, after all the crap that he's been through and all the stuff that people have been saying about him, he has the opportunity, nobody else but him. He has the opportunity to put a lock on this job. If he goes out and plays well against the 49ers and shows improvement on top of that, then you can't hold the guy back. It's a job he's going to have to keep. And at least until Gabriel comes back from concussion, and I believe he's pretty much ready to play at this point. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs against the 49ers. But it's just not, it's not hard to figure out. I kind of called all this months ago, and everything has been falling into place step by step. The only thing left for me to see is the struggling of Sanders, like Gabriel did, and the return of Deshaun Watson. After that, I would have called the Browns all the way down the line. Jeff Norman, how you doing, man? I had a few minutes to kill on this Thanksgiving. I'm going to go crazy. I can't wait until 1 o'clock when the actual game start. It's kind of chilly now here in Florida too, man. Yesterday it was about 30 degrees warmer, and all of a sudden, it's cool. So, but that's okay. I have no problem with that. Now, today you have the Lions and the Packers rematch from week 1, where Green Bay pretty much ran off Detroit. But the thing about that was Detroit was in scoring position several times there and didn't get it in, which calls into question some of the tactics that the coach, Detroit Lions coach, comes up with. He likes to go for it on 4th down a lot of times. Why he would go for it so many times, but it seems to be catching on around the league now. Go for it. Why not? If you're a pro football team, you should be able to make a yard or two every now and then, right? So there's nothing wrong with that strategy. But a lot of times it can get you in a bad situation. And that has happened to the Lions a lot of times when he's gone for it in situations where he probably should either punt it or kick the field goal. But pretty much my understanding is giving up the play calling. So that may change a little bit now. And if they're able to get the ball down the field, they should be able to score. And if they're able to score 15, 20 points, they should be able to beat the Packers because the Packers are struggling offensively. Now, the Lions are also struggling a little bit offensively in the fact that they can't protect the quarterback. So to try to shore that up, they have gotten retired center Frank Ragnow to come back. And they're going to bring him back. And they're going to move the guy that's playing center now back to his position. And that will make the line instantly better. Because to my understanding, Ragnow has kept himself in shape. And if that's the case, then he should be able to play without waiting too long. And the Lions we'll see how the offense improves with the return of Ragnar. And that'll be a big help to them because they can't afford to lose 2 games to the Packers. And they've already lost, 4 games? And the team that we think going to the Super Bowl all of a sudden don't look like a Super Bowl team. So maybe Ragnar can fix that for them. JC, how you doing, man? To win this game because they don't want to go down the tiebreaker to Green Bay by losing both games. And the Bears are coming on, so they can't afford to stumble anymore. The second game, you got Kansas City and Dallas. The Dallas Bowl, I call it. Why do I call it the Dallas Bowl? Well, in 1960, the Cowboys came into the league, and so did an upstart team called the Dallas Texans. Texans didn't make it in Dallas. Now, that's not to be confused with the first Dallas Texans, the 1952 team, who upset the Bears, and he got embarrassed by everybody else, but he did upset the top team Bears. They packed up and moved to Baltimore and changed the name. They became the Colts. That was in 1953. The Colts came to Baltimore. But the other Texans, the Dallas Texans, they packed up and moved to Kansas City and became the Chiefs. So I'm calling this the Dallas Bowl because both teams originated out of Dallas. JC said, I don't know why the Lions doesn't kick more field goals. It goes for it too many damn times. And a lot of times they can cut your throat. I think you should do it selectively. But at the same time, if you coach in bravado, you can't back up all of a sudden and not a player looking at you funny unless you tell the team ahead of time that you only go for it when you absolutely have to. If you tell them that, instead of just doing it in the game looking like you cowering, you can lose the team that way. But I think he's going to continue to do it. And as long as you do it in a way that it doesn't really kill you, you can do it. But as you know, these NFL games usually come down to a final kick. So you got to be very, very discerning to determine when it's time for fourth down. But they've done a good job of it. Right now, their biggest problem is the offensive line, and Ragnar coming in can help shore that up. So we'll see how that goes. But Kansas City, they came back and got the coach last week. I guess you could call that Dallas Bowl 1 because, again, both teams originated in Dallas. They came back and stole that game to stay alive in the chase. With the Broncos with a 3-game lead with only 6 games left, not a whole lot have to happen for them to continue on to win that division. So that means the Chiefs, they kind of in bad shape right now because most of the games they lost have been conference games. They lost to the Eagles. They lost to the Chargers. They lost to the Broncos. And I don't know who the other 2 teams are right now. But they're going to have to make sure they don't lose any more conference games if they hope to try to make playoffs through tiebreakers. They're in the same boat right now with Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the Texans. So it's anybody's game in the AFC right now. And they're going to have to take care of that today by starting with the Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys came back and stole one against Philadelphia the other day. You can't expect that to happen every week. Now, being that the Cowboys are home today, that doesn't mean a damn thing to Mahomes and the Chiefs because they have the capacity to go anywhere and win a football game. And I'm thinking that Kansas City is going to go into Dallas today and pull that game out. You know, Dallas defense is getting slowly better, but Kansas City is a championship team. You have to beat them, man. And that's just the way it is. And I'm looking forward to that contest this afternoon. JC said this is a must-win for the Lions today. Exactly, because they can't lose 2 games to the Packers. And third place in the division behind Chicago and Green Bay. I think they got Chicago again, and they've already lost to Green Bay. Minnesota's the afterthought now. They don't have a damn quarterback. I can't believe they put all their eggs on McCarthy. I know he drafted the guy number 1, but hell, I'm looking sideways when they did that. So I don't know what they're going to do over there in Minnesota. Run off your quarterbacks, and it's unfortunate for them that the 2 guys they shipped off in favor of McCarthy are doing well with Donald in Seattle, and you got Daniel Jones at the Colts. So Sometimes you think you could do so much, or just because a guy's chosen high, you think he could play. But I had questions about the guy when he was coming out of college. So it, it's not surprising me that they're struggling right now. Stu Marker 3841, how you doing, man? Reels, King Reels, whatever that means. King Reels Signal Face, I don't know. And JC says picking Dallas as Prescott. Well, Prescott is playing better, but you know that Spagnuolo, he's a genius, man. He'll come up with some kind of plan to slow the Cowboys down. Eagles had him on the ropes the other day, and be honest with you, I didn't see the game. I just knew Philadelphia was stomping them, and they came back and won the game. So I don't know if they got some turnovers or what was the situation that allowed them to get back into that game, but they won it. But I don't think that their defense is that much better. I mean, he played pretty well last game or two, but I just don't think the Cowboys are whole enough to say, well, this team is a major threat in the NFC East. And you got to prove that to me. And the Eagles, they throwing away 2 games like that. They still only lost 3 games. This team here could very well be 10-1. But that's the way it goes. Better to lose now, games like that, so you can get it together, so you don't have that problem later on. So I'd rather be lucky in the playoffs than in the regular season. And I think that's more of luck than anything that the Cowboys were able to come back and get the Eagles. But they got a chance to build on that today by beating the Chiefs. And if you can beat the Chiefs and you put the nail in their coffin, because just like Detroit can't afford to lose, neither can the Chiefs with that log jam in the AFC East of teams with 5 losses. And they can still beat any team in the league, but the way they're playing right now, all those bounces that they were getting the last couple of years is going against them now. So they're going to have to tighten up. And then the final game, we got Baltimore and Cincinnati. And in that game, Joe Burrow is supposed to come back. Now, that's a good sign for teams like Pittsburgh, who'll be BSing. They let Baltimore come all the way back into the race. They lost to the Bears last week. And Baltimore is eking out wins. They're not playing that great, but they're playing well enough to win the game. And they got some injury issues that they're still dealing with. But Pittsburgh, BSing. And they're going to need help from teams like Cincinnati to come through. Now, here's the thing. Chase had to sit out last week. He should be back tonight. And because of that, with Burrow coming back, now you got that offense that has potential to explode again. Ricky Ricks, what's going on, man? I'm talking about your Ravens. They have the potential to explode again. So if they can put up 24 points, then they stand an excellent chance to get by Baltimore tonight. And that will cause a major problem to the Ravens because, like I said, the Chiefs, Texans, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore all have 5 losses. And because of that, none of these teams can afford to lose teams that they should beat. And you would think that Baltimore should be a team to get by Cincinnati. JC says, do you think Baltimore will beat the Bengals tonight? It all depends on what Burrow does. I mean, see how well he moves. I wonder if they're rushing him back too soon. But we'll see. I think as long as he's able to play and they can protect him, I think Cincinnati has a great chance. If it was early in the year, I'd say, yeah, Baltimore would lose this game. But right now, they're playing well enough to squeak by. And because they're playing well enough to squeak by, I'm not sure where they're playing tonight, but they'll probably squeak by again tonight. So I'm going to go with, I'm going to stick with Baltimore with the status quo. But I got a question mark about that because I don't know how Burrow is going to play. But if Burrow plays well, Baltimore is going to have to come back and get this. Otherwise, I just don't see it. But those are the 3 NFL games that we have today. No real college matchups to deal with. They used to play some games, rivalry games in college, but today all you have is Navy going to Memphis. I think they play at high noon. Big games occur tomorrow. Before I get to that, up north, they have high school is big up north, the big rivalries on Thanksgiving Day, especially in places like Boston. I know they got two schools up there, Boston Latin and Boston English, and they're literally right across the street from each other. And you can just imagine how big that rivalry is. They play every Thanksgiving in the morning, and several other states play huge rivalry games too. But that's one I know for sure, that Boston Latin and Boston English, those two schools right across the street from each other, um, they're going to get it on today. What I always wonder about schools that close to each other um, and their rivals, how do they get along? I mean, are they going across the street fighting each other every day, or how does that work? The only other reference that I have to that, right here in Jacksonville, we got two schools on the north side, Rains and Rebolt. Bus loop to bus loop is a half a mile. So that is actually longer than what you have with Boston English and Boston Latin. So I would say there's no other closer schools in the nation besides those two. But Rains and Rebolt is a step behind them. Like I say, the bus loop is a half a mile. And they have their issues in the neighborhood, but generally they don't cross too much unless they playing a game against each other. So I wonder if it's the same way up there in Boston with those two schools literally right across the street from each other. But there's several other states in the Northeast that they play these big games on Thanksgiving. So I don't have any access to video to that, but that'd be something to get out and do while you're waiting for the turkey to be done. But Friday is the big day in college football. Not only do you have a couple rivalry games, you're also going to have some big decisions that are going to be made. Ole Miss has been waiting on what Lane Kiffin is going to do. I referenced the fact that his situation is kind of like when you got a main squeeze and somebody makes it known that they're going to come get you, and your main squeeze finds out about it. Well, the main squeeze want to know, are you still committed to me? And that main squeeze want to know right now. Well, Kiffin, he didn't give that main squeeze Ole Miss the answer right now. And because of that, that main squeeze now looking at you funny. You're going to lose the main squeeze. And now you pretty much forced to make a decision. Kiffin did not make a decision when he had the opportunity to declare that he wanted to stay at Ole Miss. So now Ole Miss had a meeting with him last week, the AD, and the AD wanted to know what's up. So they came up with a decision that they are going to wait until after the Egg Bowl game today against Mississippi State for him to make that decision. And it's also been reported that Ole Miss saying that if he decides to go to LSU or Florida, then you can't coach the playoffs. Well, that even clouds the situation even more for Kiffin. Number one, you had a rocky career till you got to this point. Yeah, you had some success with Nick Saban in Alabama, but Saban gets the credit for all of that. So Ole Miss gives you the job so you can resurrect your career. You had some success at Tennessee, but you didn't fit in there. They're going to run you off. USC fired you on the plane back from losing a road game. And he had some issues in the NFL. So Ole Miss is a place where he's built the team in his image, and he's had success, and he's got the team on the doorstep of the playoffs. Now LSU, who run off a good coach, by the way, come on the scene, and they want to give you $13 million to pay you what Kirby Smart is making in Georgia. Smart's won championships. Kiffin has not led a championship. He's been on the staff of a championship team, but he hasn't led a championship team. But they're going to pay you Kirby Smart money. So you get excited because you're being courted by this new squeeze over here, and you forgot all about the main squeeze to tell that person what you're going to do. Well, now the main squeeze, they don't want your ass. But you build a program up in your image, and you got them to the playoffs, and you want to leave. Not only do you want to leave, you're looking at going to a place like LSU. Well, first of all, you run off a good coach because he didn't fit. He's a Northerner. Let's just be real about that. He's a Northerner. That's one of the reasons why they got rid of him. Two, after you get rid of Kelly, you bring the governor comes in and interjects himself into the situation. And then he says, well, AD won't be making a decision. So not only is he interjecting, throws the AD under the bus and pretty much cut his balls off by telling him you can't make the next hire, which is the essence of his job. So I said right then, he might as well resign. He didn't get a chance to resign. They fired him. Okay, now Kelly is due a $53 million buyout, which half of it was payable in 30 days. Well, LSU is waffling on that. They don't want to pay the coach his buyout. Well, Kelly's going to get his money one way or the other. They don't pay him. He's going to take him to court and probably get more money for breach of contract. So you got a big mess here. So now you're going to bring in, well, before I even get to that, a couple of days after they announced the governor came on, they had another press conference, and they say, well, LSU, if they had 12 or 15 playoff spots, they should be there because they've been a premier program. And because they've been a premier program, they should always be there. Well, let me explain something to you. LSU has been a premier program for the balance of about 15, 16 years. But before Saban came there and turned the team around, it was just a middle of the road joke. If anybody had the right to say, well, we feel like we have a right to go to the playoffs every year, no matter what, it would be Alabama, because Alabama has been the bell cow of the SEC. Not only now, not when Saban was there, not when Bear Bryant was there, but way back in the goddamn 1930s. Alabama's been whipping LSU and Tennessee and Ole Miss and any damn body else they've been playing in the South. So if anybody had something to say about that position, it should have been Alabama, not LSU. LSU had a good run from 2000 on up to this point. But that doesn't mean that you all of a sudden, your history is so much better than everybody else. It is not. So you don't want to pay the coach because you fired him. Now, I'm Lane Kiffen. You courting me. You know that coaches get buyouts now. They're not going to sign a contract, a long-term contract. It's not a year-by-year basis. So you're going to tell me, you're going to say, my buyout is this, and I go there and flame out like I did at USC. You're not going to want to pay me either. So why would I inject myself into that situation? Doesn't make any sense to me. But somebody's going to take it, and they're going to be in the cross, just like Kelly. The LSU could solve all that stuff by paying the money and get it over with and move on. That would have made it a whole lot easier for me to understand why Kiffin want to go to that situation. But anytime a coach builds his own thing, it doesn't make sense to go somewhere else to do something that you already got in your hands right now. And he should have learned a lesson from Kirk Cignetti. Cignetti was in the same situation. He built the program that nobody else ever has done. And they throw all this money at him to leave. He came out and said, no, I'm going to kick the main chick I got. And because of that, I'm going to take this pay raise and we're going to see just how high we can go with it. And I don't have the same pressure that I'm going to have if I go to LSU and all that screen, the governor and everybody interjecting. It just makes a whole lot of sense for him to do that. But now that he's waited so long and beaten around the bush, now Ole Miss say, well, look, man, maybe if you had left us 3 weeks ago, we would let you coach the playoffs. But now we don't even want you to coach the playoffs. Now, even if you make the playoffs, being you the main play caller, who the hell gonna call the plays for your offense? So you just cut everybody's legs off with your waffling and beating around the bush. So if he takes a job at Florida or LSU, then you might well do Ole Miss like they did Florida State a couple years ago when they went 13-0, lost their quarterback, and they kept them out of the playoffs. It's going to be the same thing with LSU. I mean, the Ole Miss, they're going to go to the playoffs and flame out the same way. So you might well give that last spot to somebody else. Packers finna come on. Yeah, they're going to come on all right. They come on at 1 o'clock. That's all they're going to do. But Detroit going to whoop them. And I think Stefanski, he pretty much got himself fired there, man. And the GM, if the GM goes, then he's going to go too. All right, Shrek straight out of Swampton. Stefanski house offense is going to run Sanders. He needs to be fired immediately. Well, Sanders, he still got training wheels on, even though he played pretty decent the other day against the Raiders. As you recall, Dylan Gabriel did the same thing when he played for his opening game. The numbers are actually almost identical. Both of them was like 14 for like 143 yards, 14 to 23 for like 100 and something yards. I think Sanders might have had 200 yards. He had that one deep pass early in the game. But their numbers were pretty much identical. So don't get overly excited about these guys when they first come in. Remember, you don't know as a defense what these guys are going to do. Nobody has any tape on you. But that's not the case anymore. The 49ers got plenty of tape on what they can expect from Sanders this week. So that's why I said if he can go out knowing that a defense is going to be more prepared to play against them, if he can go out and carve them up, then the Browns have no choice but to treat him in the same way that the Giants are treating Jackson Dart. This might be your next quarterback. And he won the game, and people are going crazy about that. But the same people that have been saying that we're holding him back and it's a crime and all that, now that he wins the game, it's more fuel to that fire. And it makes Stefanski look good. It don't make the owner look good, but the owner is the one that's signing the check so he can get rid of Stefanski to put all the blame on him. And if you get rid of Stefanski, you're going to fire Barry too. So the owner is cleaning all this. All along, he's been making some money, especially with Sanders. Just like his dad out there in Colorado, they're making money hand over fist in Boulder because of Deion's presence. And he's making more money in Cleveland because of Shador's presence. So remember what I tell you guys before, the bottom line is to make money. These players, we boo and cheer and jeer against them, but they just look at their wallet, see how much money they got in the bank, and that's all they care about because the bottom line is to take care of your family. And they're making plenty enough money to do that, and they're trying to make as much money as they possibly can. So we can talk all we want, but the bottom line is that the check come through, and it used to be on Tuesdays, but I hear now the checks come through on Monday. So ain't worried about it in the end. All right. Rick says it's always different once they have film on you. Yeah, they got to have a different look for Sanders. He did pretty well, just like Gabriel did pretty well. I predicted that. Also predicted they were going to catch up to him, which they did. Now, let's see if the 49ers catch up to Sanders. That's why I say if he carves up the 49ers, then you have to look at him in the same vein as the way you look at a Jackson Dart. And it'll be interesting to see. I'm a big fan. I'm going to give me some popcorn and I'm going to watch. I got no dog in the fight. I just want to see how things go. But back to Kiffen, though, he peed down his leg, you ask me. And wouldn't it be ironic if he take the LSU job and go over there and if he want to pay him his buyout, and then he's going to be regretting the second he get there. This is not what I thought it was going to be. I could have stayed in Oxford and stayed there another 10 years and kept on building and building and building and been straight. But he didn't want to do that. He want to go into a situation like what you had down in Auburn with Hugh Freeze. The man, part of his post-game ritual, I guess, on Sunday, like slip out a little bit and play some golf. Well, they were watching that in Auburn, and that's the man got fired because he's out there playing golf after losing the damn game. But Auburn, they in a position, they're struggling, but they're still a dangerous team to Alabama. And don't be surprised if Alabama is trailing in the fourth quarter. Now, they come back and win the game, but Auburn's going to make it very interesting tomorrow if they show up. So these rivalry games, huge, man. Not only do you have that game, you got Texas A&M and Texas. Texas feel like they got their quarterback now. Now it's Arch Manning again. How great he is. Well, Texas A&M is a better football team. And last year they weren't ready to take hold of that mantle because Texas was playing much better than them at that point. But I think the roles are reversed. You're going to go into Austin tomorrow with a chance to qualify for the SEC championship game. I think they pretty much in, but if they were to lose that game, then that's kind of changes things a little bit. So Texas A&M's got everything in front of them, and talk about hated rivals. They don't like Texas. Texas for years had that Longhorn Network, and they didn't want to share all that money they were making So A&M say, man, the hell with Texas. We going to the SEC. Get away from you guys. We don't want to play you. So they didn't play for a long time. But then lo and behold, who comes to the damn SEC behind them? Texas. So A&M didn't like that. And the fact that Texas beat them the first time they played each other again last year, they have an opportunity to exact revenge on that this time. So we'll see how that goes. And then the other game, the big game, Ohio State and Michigan. I want to talk more about that. Ohio State is not the best team in the nation. They started out the year playing against Texas. They got by Texas, who overrated, with a quarterback that was playing like he still should be playing on a high school level, regardless of what his damn name is. That's the way they were playing. They've struggled. They got their head cracked at Georgia, lost a couple of other games. Texas is not what people thought they were going to be. Ohio State got a good defense. They got Patricia, who's probably the greatest pickup. And by the way, the offensive coordinator last year at Ohio State, Chip Kelly, the Raiders cut him loose because evidently he can't transfer to the NFL game with his play caller, and he's bundling calls and everything else, so they fired him. I'll be surprised if we go back to Ohio State next year. Well, Patricia is the man right now, and he's doing a great job on defense. But I don't think they've really been tested. And because of that, they come into this game with all that weight and baggage on them, especially after Michigan planted the flag on their damn field last year. And I got news for you. Michigan didn't have an offense last year, and they still beat Ohio State. Why? Because Ohio State trying to prove to everybody that we're in the Big Ten and we're going to jam it down Michigan's throat, which happens to be a strength of Michigan's damn defense, is to stop the run. Well, they gotten better with that. They're playing much better. And offensively, they're a whole lot better. They didn't have a damn quarterback last year. They beat Ohio State. So Ohio State, the best thing happened to them last year, they galvanized after that loss and they went on a run. And some people in Michigan have an asterisk by it. Yeah, you call yourself national champion, but damn it, you didn't beat us. And even been reported now that some Ohio State fans say, well, if you had a run where you won 5 straight national championships, but each year you didn't beat Michigan, what would you rather have? Would you rather beat Michigan or win the national champion? And I'd be damned if most of them didn't say they would rather beat Michigan than win the national champion. Makes sense to a lot of people. A whole lot of people won't make sense to because the national crown is supposed to be the best. But at the same time, if you ain't the baddest dude in your neighborhood, how you going to be the baddest dude somewhere else? Because when you come back home, that bad dude's still waiting on your ass. So it's going to be very important for Ohio State to win this game. And I think they got something up their sleeve because Michigan planted the flag on them last year. What are they going to do at Michigan to try to top that? And I think the biggest problem with this game, they put too much emphasis on it on both sides, as emphasized by these fans who would rather beat Michigan than win a national championship. Ohio State get all that pressure on them. And when the team loses this game, that pressure builds and builds and builds until you win the game. That's why these teams go on 4 and 5 losing streaks against each other because the pressure is so immense that they're so focused on the pressure instead of going out doing what they do, it causes them to lose even more. So until you can overcome that, you're going to have a damn losing streak. So if you say, damn Michigan or damn Ohio State, they're just another team, another faceless opponent, then you won't have all these long losing streaks. And one thing I would say about that rivalry is they always say this is the best rival. And I'm starting to believe that it might be, not because they played a better football up there. It's because with this NIL thing going on, I'm seeing where players transfer from one rival to the next and be on both sides of the rivalry. I mean, what the hell is that? Either you hate that team or you don't. And either you're with us or you're not. And for you to be with me this year, like Florida Gator guy transfer up to the Georgia Bulldogs, and you had Georgia Bulldogs that go play for might end up in Florida or Tennessee or some other damn rival that you hate or supposed to hate, and that just lets you know it only matters to the people who went to those schools. The players, they don't give a damn. They're going to go in the best situation. And now that teams are paying money to play college football, it doesn't even matter anymore. But I have not heard a player that played for Ohio State go to Michigan or vice versa. So because of that, I'm going to say that this is probably the best rivalry in college football. And I'll be interested to see just how tight Ohio State comes out. But if Michigan is tied or has within a score midway through the third quarter, they're going to beat them again. Watch and see. Because Ohio State, they're good, but they ain't the best in my opinion. And playoffs, thankfully, can prove that for me. Been a lot of years teams get crowned champions, and I say, man, that ain't the best team. And just that the way the system was set up, you had no way to find out who the best teams are. Well, if you get into that 12 and the champion, the best team, you're going to be one of those 12, and you're going to see just what happened as they run through those playoffs. It's like what we saw last year. But Michigan, excellent chance to knock off Ohio State ass again. And I'd be interested to see just how that unfolds. But anyway, I got to get up out of here, man. I can go play house. So Thanksgiving and all of that. Every chance I get, I'm going to be ducking off going to see a little football, man. Tomorrow I got a basketball game. Got some more playoff football, but I got to get on the road to go see that. And, I don't think I want to do that tomorrow. But it would be nice. Got a good matchup going down in Gainesville. Those highlights I've been showing was from a local game, and that's one of the best teams in the state. It looked real good, but I'm worried about the defense. The defense could be the Achilles heel of that team. They got a quarterback that can throw pinpoint passes, not only on quick slants, but on deep bombs, 50, 60 yards downfield. Hey, man, they got a running back that can go the distance anytime. The quarterback can tuck it and get 20, 25 at a time. Offensively, I don't think nobody's going to beat them. I think they can slow down. They can be slowed a little bit. And the way you slow a team like that is to eat up the clock. The team they played last week ran the football pretty well. And they come down out of Pensacola area. That's 350 miles, 5 or 6 charter buses. They came to play, man. And it took a championship caliber team to beat that team. So you have to give credit to them. But Mandarin, that's a championship caliber football team. But they're going to Buchholz, Buchholz, official name of the school, Gainesville Buchholz. But it's known down here as Buchholz. Because I get into that later. But that's going to be a great game. Buchholz isn't as strong as they were 2 years ago. They look like Mandarin looks now, and I'm kind of holding back to say that I think Mandarin's going to have something to say about the championship because I said that about Buchholz. They ended up missing a kick against Lakeland in the semifinals. Regional finals, and the team they lost to ended up winning the state championship. So I will say this: if they do get beat, the team that beats them is going to win the state. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. It would be nice if I can get over there and check that out for you and get some more highlights for you. But basketball come first. Payroll tomorrow. Only reason because I'm getting paid for that. If it wasn't, I'd be watching some football. But I get some highlights to you, and I got some more highlights I'm going to put out there. Do me a favor, man. Hit that hype button when you're watching those short videos, and that'll be great. Before I get out of here, I did see Selmo coming here. Selmo, how you doing, man? I started off talking about your Browns, man. I think you might be going by now, but that's okay. Take a look at this poll. I asked, should the Browns fire Stefanski, and 70% of you say yes. And I think Stefanski is out the door, man. The things are just pointing for his exit. Kind of like Brian Daboll. I said before that they're pretty much in the same boat, and I think they're both going to end up the same way. So despite all of that, everything that's occurred, Sanders has a chance to cement his position by going out and playing well against the 49ers. But if he struggles, just like Gabriel, he's going to struggle until he, gets out of that rookie learning level. And at the end of the year, since the Browns right now are sitting at 3-8, they're going to activate Deshaun Watson. And when they do, it's going to fulfill all my prophecies about what I've been saying about the Browns. I told you if Shedeur ever got in the game and he played well, then that's going to make the owner start looking at his whole staff differently and thinking, well, I wonder, do I have the right decision makers out there concerning the football operations? And sure enough, Just like I said, now he's talking about cleaning house, and it's very interesting. None of this stuff is hard to figure out, man. And okay, let me stop right there. Willie Mandingo Winchester just said, let's send Watson to Minnesota for Jefferson. And you ain't get nowhere close to Jefferson. What you need to do is get a quarterback in Minnesota that can throw him the ball because McCarthy ain't no damn NFL quarterback, man. And I'm still dumbfounded that they selected, there was the fourth pick in the first round that year. I couldn't figure that out. But, maybe they know more than me. I've only been watching this shit for over 40 years. So I got an idea who can play on what level. And he ain't showed me that he can play. And you ain't fixed to get Jefferson. But Jefferson, he's been complimentary of JJ, of the other JJ. And I didn't see that early in the year when he had that massive frustration on his face. And you can't tell me during the game Jefferson don't get frustrated. And they better hurry up and get a quarterback or Carson Wentz. I don't know if it's seasonal win or not, but I know he got hurt. And until he comes back, that offense is going to struggle. And I just another wasted pick to me. But who am I? All right, maybe make a deal with the Eagles for A.J. Brown. No. I think that they ain't going to get rid of Brown. They're not going to get rid of the quarterback either. It's funny how a team that's winning, making all this noise like they're a losing team. It don't make no damn sense. But that's what they're doing, Mandingo. But I tell you this, the Ravens, they better tighten up tonight or they're going to get knocked off. And me and my Steelers, we'd be happy to see it because we've been peeing down our leg the last 5 or 6 weeks. They started out well, but ever since then, he ain't been doing some good. We got to snatch one of those unhappy superstar wide receivers. So who are you with, Winchester? You a Browns fan or you with the Vikings? Who you with? Not clear who you with. But be interesting to see how it goes. But again, college football, big day tomorrow. We're going to get the decision out of Lane Kiffin. And I think the decision is already made because the way he handled the situation. And Texas A&M get a chance to revenge on Texas. And the Egg Bowl, we got that. And high school football playoffs resume. They're getting thick down here. Third round, regional finals is what they are. And then after you get by the regional finals, then you go play another regional champion, and then state championship after that. It'd be great. Well, I see you're a Browns fan, but I tell you what, what do you think about the quarterback situation? I think you like Sanders, but my question is really, how you think Sanders is going to do against the 49ers? The Raiders, they ain't no damn great NFL team. That's not to take away from Sanders' accomplishment, but I don't think it would have mattered who they played that day because they didn't have any tape on them. Once you get tape on a guy, it changes the dynamics. So the 49ers are going to have a better opportunity to slow him down. So I've been saying, Winchester, that if he goes out and plays well and better than he did last week, then the Browns have no choice but to anoint him the starter, kind of like what the Giants did over in New York. So it's his opportunity to grab it, to do what he's going to do. All that talking and all the hype behind him, we don't want to hear none of that. When the whistle blow, what are you going to do is all I'm concerned about, Winchester. So I appreciate you guys backing your team there, but I'm a Steelers guy, and when we see him, we're going to put something on him. So we ain't trying to hurt him, but we're going to put some heat on him. It's like when we catch Jackson again, we're going to put some heat on him. We got him twice this year. And we ain't forgot that they put us out of the playoffs, so we'll be ready to play up this time. They just need to tighten up, man. So that's what we got to do. But anyway, I certainly appreciate you, Mr. Winchester. Hype this video, man. Like and subscribe and get back at you guys. Probably not today, but sometime tomorrow. I'd like to talk a little bit more about this Michigan-Ohio State thing and Lane Kiffin. He's just making it so easy to talk about him these days. And be interesting to see exactly what he's done. I always thought he was the best quarterback in the draft. Well, it was possible, but here's the thing about what people aren't saying. Dion was talking a lot of trash, and connections behind the scenes. Everybody seems to forget that he was saying that. But one thing you cannot do, you cannot outshine the master. And by that, I mean the person that's in position to make decisions, you can't overshine him. Just like on the job, supervisor or the owner of the company, you can't outshine them. They they can use you, but hell, you ain't the only one. You can go get somebody else. And a lot of times when that situation happens that you try to outshine the person of authority, they show you. You think you this and you think you that? Okay, we'll show you. We won't even draft you. Or we'll let you drop so far down the draft, it'll cost you a whole bunch of money. And if you make the team, we'll make it very difficult for you to get in a position where you can play, and on and on and on. So I don't know if this is fully the position, but you got to be careful of some of the things that you say because sometimes it comes back home. Um, no, I didn't say you should do or try to do that. I'm saying to you that the word is that the NFL is colluded against Sanders, and by fault, the kid, he's not a bad kid. He's not out getting in trouble. He got his little flashy things he do sometimes, but where's the problem? I mean, everybody talks trash nowadays. It's all about a brand and a gimmick. There's no harm in that. So I agree with you. The kid didn't do any of that. He's not a problem. But when you have the image of the way his dad was flashing, and he did, like I said, make some comments about having connections behind the scenes, how he's going to do this and do that, like he just knew he had it made. That ain't the way it goes, man. And I think that's what the collusion thing comes from. I hope that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong, but somehow I don't think so. And it adds fuel to the fire when he comes out and plays well, and everybody says, "See, I told you so." They hold him down and all that. Now you got reports that ESPN has been caught a video out there talking about how we're going to discredit this guy and things like that. So this is a real thing. So the problem with people calling it out, it makes it worse. So who's to say? No, I didn't want to put that out there. If they really wanted to get rid of the player and they don't want him there, they can find ways to do it. I'll just leave it at that. Hopefully that's not the case. Because kid, like you say, he hadn't done anything. Um, I don't know. I think it's kind of hard to say about this situation, but it can go either way. I just hope they're not concluding against the kid, but it sure looks like with all the evidence that's coming out, there's some collusion there, and despite all of that, he can put all of that to bed by going out and playing well and getting a grip on that job, and that is the ultimate. I told you so. When you go out and play and perform, and people can't say um, anything else about what your abilities could have done. So sometimes you can be a victim of other people's assumptions. That's true. That's what I'm saying. So the ultimate get back is to go out there and play well. You know, you can come in as the fifth player on the depth chart, and players can put it out there. You sorry, you this and you that, but then your players start to get hurt, and another guy might move on, and the next thing you know, you're in a position where you can play. So now you got a chance to put all that noise to bed by going out and playing well. You said what? You told me I was what in college? The sorriest player? I made the pros. Did you make the pros? No. It's the ultimate get back. So he's in that position to get back, and I want to see how he's going to handle it. But you got to know that the 49ers are going to get after him, and if he's able to perform well, then he has an opportunity to keep that job. Can't wait for him to hopefully play against your Steelers. Well, like I say, we're going to put some heat on him, and we'll help you up, but we're going to put some heat on you, man. But no, I'm just kidding. The Steelers, they BSing right now, and they had a chance to put a nail in Baltimore. Now all of a sudden, you're losing games that you should win, and that's par for the course for Pittsburgh. I mean, they've been following for over 40 years, so it don't surprise me because I've seen it many times over the years, and it's just no surprise. And It won't even surprise me if they didn't even make the damn playoffs. Right now they're in a log jam at 6-5. Now let's see who they lost to. They lost to the Bears. They hadn't played Detroit yet. I think we beat Minnesota. They played Detroit, beat Minnesota, lost to Chicago, and they lost to Green Bay. So those two NFC games, that don't hurt them that much, as opposed to say like Kansas City, who's lost like 4 conference games. So tiebreaker, they're in good shape right now, and they do have a chance to play Baltimore twice. So Pittsburgh's in good shape there. They just can they get out of the funk of what they're in right now. We think they would try to get rid of Tomlin. No, I don't think they try to get rid of him. I think Tomlin goes somewhere else. Only I say that because if you stay with a team too long, you start to get stale. The message is not resonating quite as well, even though you got different players, but with the media and everything else, you become predictable about what you might say. You know? So staying in one spot too long is not always ideal. But at the same time, I don't think the Steelers, the way that they handle coaches, they're not like say Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones would have been got rid of Tomlin, even though he's winning, just on a whim. I just don't want Tomlin to be my coach no more, kind of thing. You know what I mean? But Pittsburgh, they've only had what? He's only the third coach they had since he left in the early '80s, and he was replaced by Cowher. Mid '80s, replaced by Cowher. He stayed, and then Tomlin took over after him. He's been there like 18 years. So that's the way Pittsburgh does business, which is not a bad thing. I mean, you can see what a coach really is over a period of time. If he doesn't alienate the fan base and do something egregious over a period of time, then there's no reason to get rid of a guy like that. But that's just the way pro sports are. And I don't think they get rid of him at this point. I think he may move on or retire and do something different because he's getting up in age too. He has such a legacy there. I think he retired if he did. No, he won't retire. You get a call the next day from somebody, and they be trying to get him to be the coach. So he might be a better fit, a good fit to try it again in some other place. But one thing for sure, if you go 5, 6 years without making the playoffs, you're gonna get fired. I don't care what your record was. So, hey, now, boy, how you doing? I don't think they're gonna fire him. But if he was somewhere else and you didn't make the playoffs 3, 4 years in a row, they say, well, you've taken as far as you can go. We're going to bring somebody to take us over the hump. A lot of times they bring in a lesser coach, and he does a lesser job. And that's a shot at schools like LSU, who fired Brian Kelly, who's actually had a winning record there. It's just, he didn't fit, and they thought they should be better than what they were this year. And the team they put together is just not as good as they thought they were going to be. And Kelly is a victim of that. But if I'm Kelly, I don't give a damn because you owe me $53 million, and half of that was payable in 30 days. So now you got a problem now where they don't want to pay the man, so he's not taking the court. And yet you're trying to bring in a top coach who also has buyouts in their agreements. What makes you think a top coach is going to come in that situation when you only want to pay the man his money? Don't make sense. But that's what Lane Kiffin is about to do. He's about to sign it. He's about to sign his own death warrant by going to LSU. Into that pressure cooker when he could have stayed in Oxford without the same stress and pressure and stayed there as long as he wanted to. But he didn't handle it right. So now he's out the door. Stefanski punted on the 39-yard line. You talking about going into the 39-yard line? Or, well, I've seen that before. I think I know what you're trying to say. Maybe he doesn't have a kicker that can kick a 57-yarder. What they normally do, they would take a delay of game so they can back it up 5 yards, maybe try to do it twice, and try to pin the other team deep. So that's not unusual. I don't know the full circumstances behind that punt you're talking about now, boy, but they've done that a lot of times before in the league. Everywhere else. Hope Tommy Rees don't leave. I'm not sure about Tommy Rees. But again, you know how that is. All about whoever's making the decision, how they feel about him. So that's the way that one goes, man. But I think that Stefanski is going to be gone. They're going to get rid of Barry the Boot. And only question is, how long is it going to be before Deshaun Watson gets a chance to play, and then we can find a decision on him. You're holding on to him, but I think Watson is the kind of player. He's made enough money and he would take a lesser deal to go play with somebody else just to get the opportunity to play. So, and I think that he's going to end up playing somewhere else, but at sometime before this year is over with, he's going to get a chance to get out there and see what he can do at this point. Um, Now, boy, I understand what you're saying. I got to go and look at the clear circumstances on that with the part of the game because I didn't see the one that you're referring to, but I do know that coaches will try to pin teams deep in the end zone and inside the five for field position. And I don't know if what the situation was that caused him to do that. Now, if he had to kick a game-winning field goal or something like that, or right before the half, yeah, you want to try to kick it at that point. You're not trying to pin anybody deep. So I wouldn't figure that was a situation where they had to kick a field goal, even trying to play field position is what it sounds like to me. Well, you can hope for Jefferson all you want. You know, Christmas coming up. What you can do, I'll send you some Justin Jefferson Christmas cards, playing cards, and I'll wrap it up in a nice package for you. And that could be your Christmas gift. But that's the only way you're going to get him. Or you're going to get you a new copy of the Madden video game and make a trade that way. That's the only way you're going to get Justin Jefferson. But anyway, man, I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving, man. The weather changed on me down here, 30 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. So I got to get back inside, man, and play house a little bit. So check this vote. 73% of you guys think Stefanski should be fired. I think he's going to be out the door. And I want you guys to have a happy Thanksgiving. And I'll be back on tomorrow. I might come back on later on today and do some simulcast and talk some football while the game is going on. If I get a chance to do that, that'll be great. But for all you guys that chime in with me, all you new people, now Warrior Willie Mandingo, Selmo, that big Browns fan that come on a lot, Selmo Fudd there, which talk some good football. Mr. Bellotto, all you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and I catch you guys tomorrow so we can talk a little college football. So have a great day. I'm out of here, man. And I tell you what, watch them Steelers.